Today in the honey house we are making honey pepper jelly. So pepper jelly is one of those traditional southern foods that is great for a gift. We like it for an appetizer on cream cheese and a cracker. It's great on smoked salmon. And we're putting our Beekeeper twist on it with the addition of some honey. So stick around, I'll show you what we're doing. So here's all of our ingredients. We've got our peppers, our pectin, sugar, apple cider vinegar. These are some super hot peppers right here, ghost peppers and whatnot. We've got banana peppers and then just some regular jalapeños. We had a hard freeze, so we had to pick a bunch of peppers, and now we got to do something with them. And of course, we've got our honey. So we're going to get that right out of the bottling tank. Right here. For this recipe, we are going to use 2 3/4 cups of peppers. We're going to use 5 cups of white sugar, 1.5 cups of honey, and 1 package of Certo. I've got some bottles over there on the stove. These are boiling to get sanitized. Got a 12-quart stock pot that we're going to make the jelly in. And then we'll process it back in this same water bath. So I don't think you have to seed all your peppers. I don't like too many seeds being in there, but I don't try to get every seed out. These are banana peppers. I like to have some different colored peppers. You could use bell peppers or whatever else. Just want to make sure if there's any blemishes on them, you cut those out. Like I said, these are the last peppers of this year. We got out and got them right before the hard freeze hit. So I'm just going to give them a rough chop. Once we switch over to the hot peppers, I'm going to put some gloves on, because I have learned the hard way that those hot pepper oils can really ruin your day. All right, let's see how we're doing volume wise. For this recipe, I want about 1 3/4 cups of mild banana pepper. So there's 1 cup. Kind of look through here and see what kind of banana looking peppers we got. These might be a little hotter. I'm gonna go ahead and put some gloves on because I don't want my fingers burned up. All right. All right, it's about 3/4. So we've got a 1 3/4 of mild. Now I'm gonna go through here and find some nice looking jalapeños. I think the red ones give it a nice color. Throw a few green ones in there for some variety. A little variety out of the green ones. And for this recipe, I want to have about 3/4 of a cup of jalapeños. Like I said, not trying to get all the seeds out, just cutting down on the number of seeds that are floating around in the pepper jelly. I just think it makes a better appearance. And the pepper jelly is going to be hot. Just taking some of the seeds out makes it a little nicer looking, in my opinion. So it sounds like behind me on the stove, our jars are boiling. At least our water bath for sterilizing the jars is boiling. So we want to make sure that that gets at least 10 minutes so that those jars are sterilized. They've already been washed, dried, cleaned, but we want to make sure they are sterilized for our canning. Just a nice rough chop on these peppers. I guess if you wanted to, you could maybe run them through a food processor. Just, I like them a little chunky, but I am also a little bit of a chili head, so I like spicy stuff. So when I'm putting a dollop of this pepper jelly on my cream cheese and cracker, I like for there to be a nice chunk of pepper in there. All right, now we need 3/4 of a cup of these jalapeños. That looks about right. This gives us some for the next batch. And here's what makes this pepper jelly really special. That's ghost pepper. So these ghost peppers are no joke. Make sure I get some real pretty ones. And I am only going to use 1/4 of a cup. And I am going to seed these because they are hot enough on their own without any extra. And so these ghost peppers, I do cut them a little finer. Ooh, they smell great, but even just cutting them, there's a real heat. Just cutting them, you can smell it. So we'll pull those seeds out just because these things are hot, hot, hot all by themselves. For these, I'm gonna chop these a little finer than the other peppers. Even though I like it hot, I don't want a huge chunk of ghost pepper all at once. Our family got together recently and we all were enjoying some pepper jelly. Some of it that was our ghost pepper jelly. And I was telling the story about ghost peppers being developed by the Indian military and used to flush terrorists out of a cave in Afghanistan. And my daughter laughed and said, well, they use it as a bioweapon and we put it on cream cheese and crackers. And I thought, yeah, about right. All right, now that's probably going to be a gracious plenty ghost pepper for this batch. I'm going to make sure we get it chopped up pretty good. It has just a real fruity smell. Smells wonderful. But I know it is crazy hot. I'm concerned that this one pair of gloves might not be enough. All right, I'm going to go ahead and measure just to be sure. I want about 1/4 of a cup. Yeah, I think that's plenty. Yeah. All right, there's our peppers. Here's our stock pot, 12-quart stock pot. Let's get some sugar in it. And what we want for this is 5 cups of sugar and 1.5 cups of honey. One, 2, 3, 4, 5 sugar, 1.5 honey. One and a half cups of apple cider vinegar. There we go. I'm going to give this a stir, put it on the heat. All right, we'll stir in our peppers. Well, that's pretty. All right, now we'll get this over on the heat. Here's what we got going on. Our empty jars, sterilizing in this boiling water bath. We've got the heat on for our pepper jelly. We are going to get it stirring. We want to bring this to a hard rolling boil. Then we'll put our pack of Surto in there, stir it for 1 minute, get it in our jars. All right, I got the vent hood on, so making a little bit of noise. When I built this kitchen, I made sure we put this vent hood in specifically for making pepper jelly. I knew that was going to be one of the primary things that I would want this vent hood for, because as this gets hot, it can really put off some strong aroma. So as this is heating up, my jars have been in the water bath long enough, so I'm going to turn that down to a simmer, take those jars out and get them ready. So this recipe makes 7 to 8 half-pint jelly jars, but I've got a full dozen ready just in case. I've got my bands and my lids back here in a separate pot that are being sterilized. Let's turn this off. Starting to see some bubbles. One of the reasons I like to use a big stock pot is because when this starts to boil, it really foams up and expands. You can see how that is really taking up more space. And if you don't have a big enough pot, that boils over and then you got a real sticky hot lava mess all over your stove. Alright, so we got that really boiling. It's a good hard boil, it can't be stirred down. Time to put the Surto in. Gonna get this Surto in there. Sure we get it all. Stir it while we go. Alright, that dropped the temperature of it. Now we want to make sure we get it back up to a good rolling boil. Let it boil for 1 minute. Alright, so now we're back to boiling. I want to make sure we get at least 1 minute of boiling. We're going to turn the heat off. And ladle this into our hot jars that have been sterilized. Then we'll put the lids on. And this will go back into boiling water bath, process it. Leave just a little bit of headspace there. Check to see if there's any that aren't quite as even. Get our lids, fans. This is where things get hot. We're going to process this for 10 minutes. If you are at a different altitude, then maybe you might have to change your processing times. We are about 850, 900 feet above sea level, so I think we're fine to follow the directions on the package. So that water is just starting to boil. Going to give it 10 minutes in there. All right, let's take a look. About halfway through. Water bath doing good. The jelly's been in the boiling water bath for 10 minutes, so it's processed. We can take it out. Turn the heat off. All right, there we go. So one of the things I like to do to make sure that the peppers end up evenly distributed through the jelly as it sets is just every so often switch them so that the peppers will float up to the top. Give that a few minutes and then I'll switch it over the other way and just keep doing that until they set. And then that way, you end up with peppers all the way through, and not just all at the top. All right, so I'm gonna get busy on the next batch, and then we'll wrap this up. All right, that's how we make our honey pepper jelly. I'm gonna get busy on the next batch. Got quite a few more peppers to process. And we'll have a little bit of this up at the store for a limited time. It goes pretty quick and we don't make a ton of it. So it's just one of those things I like to do with the peppers at the end of the season. And it's just keeps us in touch with our southern roots. So if you like what you saw, you know what to do. See you on the next one.